My dear elegant ladies, let's jump into point number 1. Now, we all have traits in us that are attractive and less attractive to the opposite sex that we wish to attract. So you can emphasize more on some of the traits you know the man is going to appreciate. The same way I'm sure you've seen men, whenever they want to impress a woman, he makes an effort with his grooming and maybe puts on a little bit more gentleman's gestures to court that woman that he is interested in. Now, the same goes for women. We can tweak our body language to let the man know that we're interested so that he can become more interested in us. Plus, why would we show the worst size of us when we should be showing the best of us, the best version of ourselves? I definitely recommend you to leave the worst sides of you at home when nobody has to deal with you when you are alone. Especially with men. They are extra sensitive to negativity and drama. And becoming the best version of ourselves is what I help women across my platforms. I have an online finishing school where I teach women step up to their potential, become more ladylike and refined. Currently, I have a workshop where I actually reveal all the awful mistakes that I've done in the past and how I learned from them, and now I want to share them with you so that you can learn from them too and improve your life. Simply visit levelupsecret.com and take part of this 60-minute workshop. It's absolutely free. Now, body language number 2 that will turn a man off, and that is when a woman is overly sexual. And this doesn't matter if you're doing it as a joke or if you're serious. Showing exaggerated sexual cues. You know, there are some body language cues that men tend to appreciate, like when you bite your lip a little bit, sensually, a little bit like this. But the exaggerated version would be... And then there are, of course, many cues, like when you are bending over to pick something that you dropped. You're not gonna be like... Oops, I dropped something. Now, as you can see, that kind of comes across incredibly stupid. You don't want to create an awkward atmosphere, and men do get a little bit uncomfortable when something is awkward. Well, normal men. There are, of course, some weirdos that like that stuff. Nice. What I'm trying to say is that when you're trying to impress a man with your sensual side of you, do it in a very subtle way. When it doesn't look like you're putting on an act. When it actually looks like you're genuinely just like... biting your lip without even noticing that you're doing it. And that usually becomes sexy to the man, not when it's all, like that. What I'm trying to say is that when it's all so choreographed and so much like a show, what is attractive to the opposite sex is when you are yourself. And when you're doing things without really even noticing that you're doing them. That is just part of who you are. That is the true nature of you. Not when you are pretending someone you're not, putting on a show and just doing a bunch of theatrics. Point number 3, masculine body language cues, like, hunching, legs spread apart. I don't know, even doing like masculine gestures, like holding up the door for the man to pass, or insisting to pay the bill, or even things that I know not everybody's gonna think about. But as an example, lifting heavy things, carrying heavy grocery bags. That is the man's job. That is not for you to do as a woman, unless you don't have a man by your side to help you. If there is a man, he should always be carrying that stuff, not like you have to be there, muscle man carrying all these heavy things. Now, those are masculine cues that you're sending out to the man. And I'm not saying now that men are going to be so incredibly put off as soon as they see you carrying heavy bags. No, I'm talking about when we're adding up all these small bits and bobs together, when we have overall a very masculine behavior. And those masculine cues put together, they might not attract the man subconsciously, and that's just something to pay attention to. Number 4, masculine intonation when you speak. I have to speak about the speech separately, and this is something that I myself have to think about because I am a person, as you probably can notice, I'm very direct by nature. That's just the way I am, that's my character, and I'm not trying to change my character whatsoever, but I do try and soften myself a little bit when I feel like I'm getting now a little bit carried away. And definitely I have to also work with that in my relationship, because I don't want to turn myself into a man, because I really enjoy being a woman and I really enjoy being a feminine woman. And my husband appreciates me as a feminine woman as well. So when I start noticing that, I'm starting to speak a bit like this, I have this harsh tone when I speak, I'm speaking really loud or too direct, or some of the things that I say, or even the vocabulary that I use, I think about that and I try to soften it. I don't try to change who I am, I just really try to reduce that a lot. Because what really happens is that we just let loose and we don't even understand what's going on. And sometimes we can go really deep into our bad habits. And if you don't want your bad habits to develop even further, then that's when you should just stop for a second and pay attention and soften or reduce or change or do something to not continue in that direction. Not all men want to have a very feminine woman who speaks very much like this and, very soft-spoken. Not all men appreciate a woman like that. Some men like a bit more of a flamboyant woman. Other men like other types of women. First of all, we're not going to be able to appeal to every man out there, and that's not the point. The point here is that there are general tips that I'm sharing with you that can help you improve parts of your dating life or relationship or marriage life for the better. Point number 5. Now remove that desperate look on your face. And I'm serious, ladies. There are cues that you're gonna send to him that tells him that you're interested, you're flirting. Come on, let's go, make this relationship happen. But you don't want to make it in an obvious way. You don't want to seem desperate, and we all know that. We don't want to be too available as women. I'm talking also about taking some steps too far. Like as an example, one body language cue that signals that we are interested is by giving him some form of physical touch, but then it's important that we make sure that it doesn't become too much, too often, in the wrong places. Or let's say there's another body language cue that says we should be leaning in a little bit to the man. And again, we don't want to now be like, leaning in so desperate that it just shows, it screams, I'm interested, take me, I'm ready. That is the worst energy you want to send off. You want to always keep him guessing. Is she interested or is she not? I think she is, but I'm not 100% sure. And that's what keeps them interested, because they know you're interested somehow, but they're not 100% sure. They're still figuring it out and they're playing along and they're enjoying the ride. Because the point of my tips is for you to attract a high caliber man, not the average Joe Schmo. I mean, listen, for the average Joe Schmo, you don't need my tips. You can just go out and find him anywhere. But to get a more high level man, it requires a little bit of extra work sometimes. Point number 6. We all know that we shouldn't be too available. I'm not going to repeat that one. But one thing is really important is that you are not turning yourself into this really stone cold rock, where literally all you have is like this kind of resting face. Or when you're so afraid of flirting or even looking at him, you're not giving him any form of eye contact, you seem absolutely not interested in him, and you never ever give him any form of validation, not even a little giggle at one of his jokes. So what happens is that a man oftentimes will lose confidence in such a woman because he starts thinking that, I don't think she's interested. He might even start feeling bad about himself, and then he just gets put off because then he understands it's game over. And then there are some women that say, well, then he wasn't the right man for me. And that is just very defensive to speak like that, because you know what? You also have to walk a little bit in order for the man to understand that you are interested. If you look incredibly not interested, there will only be this little percentage of men who are just interested in the conquest, capturing the woman. They're not interested in the woman. They're just interested in the game of catching that really difficult woman. And I'm not sure that's what you're looking for. I'm sure you're looking for a serious relationship, perhaps marriage. And for that reason, you want to be with someone who's genuinely interested in you. But then you have to open up. You can't be hiding in that shell. So you need to be able to find that perfect balance, how you can show interest without being too much, validate his interest without giving it all away. Sounds complicated? Not really. Point number 7. Ladies, be a woman. Be feminine. Don't be an infant. Don't be his mother. When you go into that really childlike state, when you're like little Miss Giggly, or when it's always like, okay, I can't even imitate this correctly. When you're just so girly and it's almost like you became 10 years old next to him. I mean, that is not attractive. Same way it's not attractive when you turn into his mother. telling him off with things, following up, did you do this? When are you coming home? You know, like being too controlling. Don't want that attitude. That is going to put him off immediately. Be a woman. Be a feminine woman. Men love that. Now, ladies, let me know in the comments below. What else turn men off from your experience? I also need to inform you that over the next 3 weeks, I will be having videos even on Thursdays. So make sure you tune in this Thursday on my YouTube channel. Now, the next video, 7 body language secrets that turn men on. I'm gonna give you more cues that's going to make you irresistible. I will see you in that video.